A is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Huda, coming to you live from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Mahdiya sent a question saying how to motivate myself to pray Qiyamul Layl. What is Qiyamul Layl? Qiyamul Layl translates roughly to night prayer. So we know that Muslims have 5 daily prayers that they must pray each and every day, and this is an obligation. It's one of the pillars of Islam. However, there are voluntary prayers, and these voluntary prayers are a lot. There are many. But the best of all of them is night prayer, which a person prays between Isha prayer, after he has concluded his Isha prayer, the last prayer of the night or of the day, up till the break of dawn. So this is all time for you to voluntarily offer your prayers for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. So she's asking, how do I motivate myself? First of all, by anticipating the great reward. If you realize that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the best of prayers other than the 5 mandatory obligatory prayers is night prayers. So after the obligatory prayers, there's nothing that can be better or more beloved to our Creator than the night prayer. Also, you can be motivated once you know that the Prophet ﷺ had never abandoned night prayer, whether he was residing or traveling. He kept on praying each and every night, where Allah Azza wa Jal addressed him in the Quran by saying, Ya ayyuhal muzammil qumil layla illa qalila. O you who are wrapped in his blankets or garment, stand up and pray most of the night except a little of it. So this was an instruction to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet himself said, O people of the Quran, pray witr, for Allah is one and He loves odd numbers and witr numbers. The Prophet told us ﷺ that whoever prays the night with 10 ayahs, so one of the small short surahs, if you pray night prayer with this surah, you will not be among the neglectful, those who are heedless. No, you will not be among them. And if you pray night prayer with 100 verses, then you will be among al-qaniteen, those who stand in prayer and submissiveness for Allah Azza wa Jal. And if you pray 1,000 verses, Ibn Hajar says that whoever recites from Tabarak alladhi biyadihi al-mulk till the end of the Quran, this would fulfill 1,000 ayah. He will be among the muqantareen. And the qintar, as explained by the scholars, is the skin of a big bull, a big ox, filled with gold. So you can imagine, some say it's about 4,000 dinar, and it's a lot of money. But it means that you will get so much reward if you pray night prayer. And the Prophet had said, alayhi salatu wassalam, that the honor of a believer is portrayed in night prayer. So you want the honor, the dignity, the pride, you have to pray night prayer. And the night is the time where worshippers have their quality time with their Creator, with their Lord, when they stand in submissiveness and humility, expressing their poverty to Allah, reciting His words, trying to please Him, and they ask Allah for whatever they need and want from Him. This is the time. And the Prophet told us, alayhi salatu wasalam, and there are so many hadiths, you can spend the whole episode talking about this, but this is not appropriate. Nevertheless, the Prophet told us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that there are chambers in paradise where the inside can be seen from the outside and the outside can be seen from the inside. So one of the companions said, "O Prophet of Allah, who would be entitled to own such chambers?" The Prophet ﷺ explained to us that it is for those who speak softly, who feed the people food, who fast voluntary days, and who pray night prayers. So praying night prayers has tremendous benefits on the individual in this life, let alone in the hereafter. I'm talking about in this life. It gives you light in your face. Not that you would illuminate the room when it's dark. It gives you light that people, righteous people, would see this light in your face. They like the way you look, along with the extension in your provision that Allah Azza wa Jal would bless. Your life would be blessed. Your children would be saved by your forms of worship, as mentioned at the end of Surah Al-Kahf, of the two orphaned who Allah Azza wa Jal provided for them because of their good father. And some tafsirs, it says, because of their seventh great grandfather. But he's a father as well. So I hope this gives you a glimpse of what's happening. Idris from Nigeria. Idris? I think we've lost Brother Idris. I hope he calls again. Sana says, to whom I should listen? To my parents or to my husband? Now, a woman must, by all means, respect and obey her parents. Now, this goes unquestionable. She must respect and honor, she must obey her parents. But when it comes to a married woman, in this case, the priority is for her husband. If her husband tells her, don't go, or don't let people in, or you have to do this, or you have to do that, if her parents order her otherwise, she is obliged to obey her husband. So she must obey all of them, but if there is a conflict of interest, definitely, one says right and the other says left, then as long as there is no sin in it, she is obliged to obey her husband over her father and mother. Abdullah from Iraq.
Alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu wa barakatuh.
How are you?
I am fine, Jazakallah khair for asking. What can I do for you, Abdullah?
Thank you. I have 3 questions, Sheikh.
Go ahead.
Can a Muslim go to non-Muslim condolence at ta'ziyah?
For what?
To a condolence at ta'ziyah. Can a Muslim go to
Okay.
And the second question, can you tell me a ruqya or some important verse of the Quran for the girl who want to marry, for their bride, perfect and bride?
Why do they need the ruqya?
Because to get married, he is old.
Okay.
Okay. And the second question, one of my relatives, she is a woman, married in 2007, and since now she doesn't have a child. So tell me some ruqya or a verse of Quran also for her to get a child.
Okay. Any more questions?
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. I
وجزاك.
love you to Allah.
بارك الله فيك وجزاك الله خير brother عبد الله.
وفيك بارك الله.
Okay, brother Abdullah from Iraq, may Allah Azza wa Jal liberate it and get it to be strong for the Muslims as it used to be. He says that, is it permissible to condole a disbeliever? See, if there is a religious procession or a reception where they accept people to come and give their condolences, this is not permissible for you to attend. But if you see a disbeliever, a non-Muslim, who a friend, a relative, a spouse had passed away, it is totally permissible for you to go and give your condolences. By giving your condolences, you are showing empathy. And this is totally permissible. However, when it comes to religion, we're not supposed to mix with them. So their marriages, we cannot attend. Their funerals and burials, we cannot attend because this is related to their religion. But if I see him in the office, if I see him, even if I go to his home and I give him my condolences and I ask Allah to replace him with something that is better, this is totally permissible and there's nothing wrong in that. You must not say, may Allah forgive the deceased or may Allah have mercy on the deceased, because this is only limited to Muslims. We cannot do this. As mentioned in the Quran, that Allah Azza wa Jal prohibited us from seeking forgiveness for the disbelievers, even if they were our relatives. And in the hadith of Sahih Imam Muslim, where the Prophet ﷺ once wept, and when they asked him, why do you weep, O Prophet of Allah? He said, I sought from Allah Azza wa Jal permission that I would seek forgiveness from my mother, and he denied me such a permission. So this is something from our religion that we cannot cross, and we have to stick to it. So I hope this answers your question. His second question and his third question are related. Someone who got old, let's assume she's a lady, I think, and she has passed what is known to be the age of marriage. Though this age of marriage differs from one country to the other. Some countries, the age of marriage would be 30. Here in where I live, the age of marriage would probably be 19 to 20. People, women usually marry at this age. If she's 24 or 25, there are red flags. It's danger zone. And if she's 30, then definitely that is even worse. And the more she grows up, the less her chances would be. Not because of anything other than there is little demand and a lot of supply. And this is life. And this is why we try to encourage the issue of taking a second wife and a third wife to those who can afford it financially and who have the righteousness to be fair and just in dealing and treating them. Real men. But those who just are just there for the ride, no, stay where you are and be content with one is more than sufficient for you. That's why there isn't any such prescribed supplication that one opens a book and says, okay, I don't have a job, so let me see what dua. Oh, I don't have a wife, let me see what dua. Oh, I don't have children. Or I have 2 boys, I need a girl. Or this, there aren't such specific prescribed dua for each and every situation that we go through. However, there is always the general dua. Allah Azza wa Jal would answer you, and Allah hears your call if you call Him and supplicate to Him. It doesn't have to be in specific wordings or in wordings that rhyme. No. So you praise Allah, you offer salutation to the Prophet ﷺ, and go straight to asking Allah Azza wa Jal to send you a good spouse. And for sisters, looking for a righteous practicing spouse is not that difficult. The difficulty lies in the bar that we set. So you go to a sister and she did not get married yet, and you ask her why. She says, nobody is proposing. And you look in the list of proposals that came to her, and you find hundreds. And you ask her, why didn't you accept? She said, well, this man, I was hoping for a knight in his shining armor to come on his white horse. Now I'm okay if he comes walking. If he has a bicycle, that would do. So you keep on having the bar high, and by time, you tend to lower it bit by bit, but it would have been too late. So don't set your bar too high. Likewise for the brothers. Akhi, you're almost 28 years of age. Why didn't you get married yet? He said, I'm still looking for the girl of my dreams. So what are you looking for? Oh, she has to be Miss Universe, an ex-Miss Universe. And she has to be like 5 feet tall, and she has to be excellent swimmer, ballet dancer, a musician. But she reverted to Islam, and now she knows the Quran with the 7 or the 10 qira'at, and she knows Bukhari, Muslim, and all the books of Sunnah, and she knows all the fatwas of the standing committee of scholars. Akhi, you kidding me? This is only available in Jannah. What are you looking for? This is, and with all due respect, my friend, when was the last time you took a good look at the mirror? So before you set your bar and you put your conditions, take a good look at the mirror to be realistic. So the sister, I would advise her to try and lower her bar, try to ask her mahram, her brothers, to enter into matrimonial websites, Islamic ones that would provide a chance for matchmaking with a suitable person, and spread the word among the imams of the masjids, Islamic centers, and inshallah, Allah will send her someone suitable. Ali from Saudi.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sorry, I've got 3 questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, my first question is, my brother lives in the States, and he was actually wondering, sometimes for Jummah, they don't have, like in DC, once he was in DC, and they didn't have a big enough mosque for Jummah Salah, so they had allocated a church and made arrangements for the Jummah Salah. So we were wondering if that is allowed and acceptable for him to be praying in a church for Jummah.
Okay. Second question. Second question.
Whenever you pass by any mosque, you generally should recite a durood. And
is this your second question, Ali?
Yes, this is my second question.
So are you asking about what's the ruling on reciting durood?
Every time you go by a mosque or you see a mosque, or because
okay.
This is a general belief in the Indian subcontinent.
Okay,
and,
third question.
Third question, I was wondering also about the hadith relating to the evening time when children shouldn't be allowed to go outside to play, on their own. So I read the hadith, but I was kind of confused about evening, specifically between Asr to Maghrib or after Maghrib to Isha, because the hours were kind of confusing. So if you could just clarify that, please.
Okay. Any more questions?
No, not for now. Inshallah, I'll probably call you again sometime.
Okay.
Thank you.
Barakallah feekum.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Brother Abdullah from Iraq's third question, that a person has been married for 10 years and he does not have any children. Is there any dua? This is similar to the second question before. There isn't anything prescribed. If you wish, you can pray to Allah Azza wa Jal, Rabbi la tadharni fardan wa anta khayrul warithin. Yani, oh Allah, don't abandon me to be alone without any children, etc. This is from Quran. هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. Oh Allah, grant us from our spouses. So this is both for men and women. It's valid. Offspring that would be satisfaction to our hearts and eyes, etc. These are general dua from the Quran. Again, you can ask Allah Azza wa Jal whatever you want, and you can ask in your prostration, you can ask between adhan and iqamah, you can ask at the last third of the night, you can ask before offering salam and concluding your prayer of any prayer, whether fard or voluntary, after giving the tahiyyat and tashahhud on the Prophet ﷺ. Before concluding and giving salam, you can ask Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah will respond to you. And don't rush things. If there is good in it for you, it will happen. Ibrahim, a prophet, a messenger of the 5 strong-willed messengers of Allah, one of the top 5. And he's the father of all messengers that came from his offspring. As we know, he had Ismail and Ishaq. Ishaq is the forefather of all the Jew prophets and messengers. Ismail is a messenger himself and the forefather of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet Ibrahim did not or was not blessed with a child until he was what? About 80 years of age. So when the angels came to give him the glad tiding, he thought that this is not logical because my wife and myself are way beyond the age of conceiving. Yet it happened. So when Allah wills it, it will happen. I have a number of friends that I used to pray to Allah Azza wa Jal. Not that I'm a righteous person, but I loved them for the sake of Allah. And when you love someone for the sake of Allah, you make dua for them. And they were my colleagues, they were teachers with me at school. This was like 30 years ago, ages. And I used to pray for Allah Azza wa Jal. One of them was not blessed with a child, though he was married for about 12 years. And he said, we went to all doctors and they said everything is normal. But it didn't happen. And the other one was like him. And mashallah Azza wa Jal, Allah has blessed both of them with like half a dozen till now. And this is from Allah Azza wa Jal. So never give up hope. Do your work and maybe you have to do a little bit of overtime. And there's nothing wrong in checking with doctors. And if everything is normal, keep on making dua and extensively make dua. And inshallah, things will progress and improve. Ali from Saudi Arabia, she says that her brother is in DC and they don't have a bigger masjid over there. So in order to pray Friday, they allocated a church and either they bought it or most likely, if they bought it, they would have changed it into a masjid, then we would not have any problem. Changing a church into a masjid, there's no problem in that, if it's legal and they sell it to you. But most likely that they've either rented it or got permission to offer prayer there. So she asked, is this permissible? First of all, if there are no statues like in every day-to-day Catholic churches where they have statues and idols that they worship, and there are no crosses visible, and if they're visible, it can be covered so that the whole area would look like a hole, then inshallah this is permissible. There's nothing wrong in that. You can pray your Friday or normal prayer anywhere. But if these things are visible and you want to make your Jum'ah there, no. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, when he went to Jerusalem and was invited by the chief priest or patriarch or whatever, he apologized diplomatically by saying, we cannot enter your church because of these statues and idols in them. Otherwise, I would have accepted your invitation. So I hope this answers your question. We have a short break, and after the break, inshallah, we will continue Sister Ali's questions. So stay tuned.
Allah, la ilaha illallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded us through his guidance and example that Islam is complete submission to the will of Allah, For one who submits a mere declaration or display of belief will not be taken for success, but his or her heart and soul will certainly be put to test. Allah tested the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam severely in order that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam becomes an example for his companions to follow. Similarly, he tests the believer to see whether he lives a righteous life in accordance with the instructions and commands set by Allah, or lives according to what his desires dictate. Whether the faith he displays is firmly rooted in his heart, or is it merely on the surface. He will be tested to see whether he will continue to have faith and love of Allah when in a calamity, as he does when in comfort, whether he will continue to remember and worship him if given bounties and comforts of life, as he does when he lives a modest life. Allah will undoubtedly test him to see if his faith, trust and love of him is unconditional, or is it conditioned upon good health and a comfortable life, free from stress and anxiety. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us through his own example that for a righteous Muslim, this life is a testing ground where he will continue to be tested until he meets Allah. For him, tests will be conducted on earth while he lives, and not after he dies. He knows that as soon as death arrives and he steps into the next world, his tests are over. There, he only receives the result of his tests and enjoys the fruits of the deeds that he committed during a short span of time called life.
Allah, La ilaha illallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. Sister Ali's second question, she says that we have a custom in the subcontinent that whenever we pass by a masjid, we say durood, and durood is not an Arabic word. So we offer as-salatu was-salam on the Prophet ﷺ by saying, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad, or anything that goes even longer. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid, to the end. So she says, is this practice part of the sunnah? The answer is definitely no. It's not. And it's an innovation. One would say, Akhi, offering salam to the Prophet ﷺ is an innovation? I said, yes. If you say it before entering the toilet, what would it be counted as? He said, no, this is an innovation. So likewise. So as long as the Prophet did not do it, ﷺ, we must not do it or even attempt it. And there are so many wrong practices coming from the subcontinent because they are not following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and maybe they're doing it with good intent, but this is not sufficient. Following your scholars, following the elders without proof from the Quran and Sunnah does not make you a follower of Islam. Only by following Quran and Sunnah you're a practicing Muslim. So when women ask from the subcontinent saying that we have a tradition that you must not eat without wearing your head cover, there's nobody in the home. Said even though, or you cannot hear the adhan. So even if you're uncovered and you hear the adhan, you must come and cover your head. What is this? You cannot even go to the toilet without covering your head. All of this is nonsense. It's baseless. It has nothing to relate to Islam at all. And her third question, she is in confusion with the time that we must not let out our children unattended. So is it from Asr till sunset in the afternoon, or is it from sunset till Isha? The hadith is crystal clear that it is not permissible to let the children unattended out of the house without any supervision, between sunset and an hour or so until the Isha is called, Isha prayer. And this is approximately an hour or an hour and 10 minutes. Why? Because they are unprotected. They probably do not wash themselves when they answer the call of nature properly. They don't know how to say the adhkar. And this is a time where the devils spread, and they might hijack the children, as reported by the Prophet ﷺ. So the time, Sister Ali, is after Maghrib, or when the sun sets, until the time of Isha. If the children are accompanied by an adult, by the father, by the mother, by an elder brother, there is no fear for them to go out of the home or go to a mall, etc. This is all permissible. Latifa says, is it haram to take depression medicine when I feel weak? First of all, is it natural to have depression? Yes, it is. It is natural. But is it normal? It depends. Sometimes we have worries of our own about things that happened in the past and we grieve over them. Or things that may happen in the future and we have our own worries how they will materialize. I've written a post a week ago or so about a person who says that when I wake up, I feel sad, depressed, and fragile. I feel so empty from the inside. He says his heart feels like a river without a water. He feels like his heart like a sailing boat in an endless, windless ocean. And he feels like his heart is the night sky without any stars in it. I told the brother that we do feel like this sometimes, especially when we don't see any progress with our children, with our wives, with our careers. Sometimes Satan comes and tries to penetrate. But when you remember that Allah is by your side, when you remember that every breath you take is by His will, when you see all the blessings of Allah upon you, you start to realize how ungrateful you are. Therefore, compare your worries and your reasons for depression to the different favors and blessings that are unlimited from Allah Azza wa Jal. They're countless. And everything that worries you would diminish and disappear. So, do Muslims get depression? Yes, they can become depressed. But they fight this with ruqyah. They fight this with reciting the Quran, with dua, with their full trust, dependence, and reliance on Allah, the Almighty, who had created us. And He pledged upon Himself to take care of us. So why worry? Everything has been predestined, and everything will come. Even if you worry, it will come. So, but still, I still have this, Sheikh. I still have this depression and I'm weak. So can I take medication? If the medication is halal and it would not make you addicted to it, and it is not harmful, because there are medications for depression that are harmful for you physically and mentally. But if a proper Muslim, practicing Muslim psychiatrist or a doctor, physician gives you these medication for a limited period of time, and you would work on your dependence and tawakkul on Allah Azza wa Jal, I hope this is permissible, inshallah. Rayhana from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have a question today. My question is regarding verse number 38 to 40 of Surah An-Naml, where Sulaiman alayhi salam asks, who will bring the throne of Bilqis? The Ifrit says, I will bring before you rise up from your place. But a righteous person, according to Ibn Kathir's tafsir, that Asif bin Barkhia says that he will bring it before he blinks the eye. So my question is, actually my daughter is asking this question, is how was he able to carry it? Whether he carried the throne, or because he knew some of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of his dua, Allah replaced it in that place. So how was it possible? Just I wanted to know. Jazakallahu khairan.
وجزاك وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. Aya from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
I have a question. My friend is married. She recently got married about 4 months ago. And since then, before she married him, she's known him for 2 years. After they got married, everything, he was very distant towards her and did not even want to sleep in the same bed with her during the first time they actually interacted. And I was wondering, what should she do about this? Because it's been about 4 months, and she's still saying that there's no real connection when he comes to see her, because he works outside of the country. He lives in the same country as her, but they are in 2 different cities. They live in 2 different cities. When he comes to see her, it's only once a month and for 1 day out of that month. And she's wanted to separate from him so many times, but he keeps saying that things will work out and they should stay together, but nothing's changing. So I was wondering, what should she do? What can I tell her?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. Rayhana from Saudi Arabia, she says that the story of Prophet Sulaiman, peace be upon him, and Balqis, the queen of Sheba, I think it's called, of Saba. And when he dispatched a letter to them telling them to come and submit to Islam, and she sent him with a gift, and he was outraged by this gift because it was in the form of a bribe. So he sent to them that he's coming with his army to conquer them. She sent a message saying that we're coming. No need to invade us, no need for anything. I'm coming with my people. So while they were on their way, Sulaiman asked his court, who among you is able to go and bring me her throne from Yemen? Of course, no jet planes, nothing, but they had powers. So a genie, one of the jinn, said, I'll bring it to you before you are able to stand up. So standing up would take like 5 seconds. If he meant by standing up, leaving the court would take like 5 minutes. So he said, I'll bring it to you. Another righteous human being said, I can bring it to you before you blink. So this is in a fraction of a second. Now, Sister Rayhana says, my daughter is asking, how was he able to bring that throne? What powers did he have? I have no idea. And any guess would be as good as yours and mine. Because Allah Azza wa Jal told us about the story, but did not tell us about the details because it is not beneficial for us. It would not get us closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. Therefore, we have to understand it as it is. Whether this person's name is so-and-so and he knew Allah's greatest name, Al-Ism Al-A'zam, whether he had control over the jinn, because at their time, Sulaiman was in charge of all the jinn, he controlled them and he made them serve him. So maybe this man had some affiliation through the permission of Sulaiman. Allah knows best. This is not in our knowledge, and we have to accept it as it is, and Allah knows best. Sajab from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, ya Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sir, I have a question for my family. Actually, I'm actually in a big trauma at present due to my present situation of my family. We bought a house since 3 years ago, and then we start living in the house. And unfortunately, last year, my father, he got a paralyzed attack suddenly. Okay, then Alhamdulillah, he took a medicine, then he became okay. Then suddenly my mother, she fell down in the washroom and she got a hip surgery. Then after 3-4 months. Then my sister, she also got an accident. She also had a knee surgery. Then after 3-4 months, then my grandmother, she had a stomach surgery. I just want to know, is this a bad eye because we bought a new house, or it's someone is doing on the black magic on us?
Okay. Any more questions?
No. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Wajazak. I will answer inshallah. Okay. Aya sent a question about a woman who got married 4 months ago, and she, for 4 months, has not been intimate with her husband. Her husband is coming once a month to visit because he is working out of town, and he has only 1 day a month, so probably he's working somewhere else. And he is not attracted to her, though they were in a relationship 2 years prior to their marriage. So she's asking, what is this? She tried to call off the marriage few times, but he still insists that they should have a second chance and give it one more try. And she's saying, what is this? I don't have no idea. This is something that has to be communicated with your husband. So I would suggest that you sit one-on-one with him and ask him to put an explanation. Is it something that repels him away from her? There is something that makes him stay away? Is it the smell of her mouth? Is it the way she looks? Is it something of demons that he sees on her? So that we can know if she needs ruqya or he needs ruqya or something else that she can fix. If he's not reciprocating, if he's not answering, then I would suggest that she contacts her family, the elders, her parents, her elder brothers, to sit man to man with him and talk. Because this cannot go on. What's wrong with you? Have you heard something wrong about her? Did someone tell you that she's cheating on you? This is why you're unable to communicate and sit and look to her eye to eye? There has to be an explanation. Or you're feeling impotent and you're unable to be intimate with her because there's a spell on you or an evil eye or whatever. If this can be communicated out, alhamdulillah. Otherwise, just file for divorce and move on. Because if he doesn't want to talk, if he doesn't want to reach a settlement or to reconcile or to find where the fault is, this marriage is most likely not going to last long. Sijab says that we bought a house 3 years ago, and as they say, all calamities have been coming from places we were not anticipating. So my father got a heart attack, my mother fell in the bathroom, my sister had this and that, his grandmother had. So is this an evil eye? No, not necessarily at all. These are all part of life. Testing is part of life. If you stay for a year or two without a calamity, without tests from Allah, there is a problem. And when the calamity comes, if you're patient and you express your gratitude to Allah and you show your tolerance and you do not complain, then you are on the right track. This is a test. Alhamdulillah, you passed your test. But to blame the house for what's happening, I personally believe that there's no foundation for such an accusation. As long as the people in the house pray on time, they observe their adhkar in the morning, in the evening, before going to bed, after the 5 daily prayers, and before leaving the home, they always observe it religiously. In this case, alhamdulillah, there is no possibility of anything happening bad to you. If you recite the last 2 ayahs of Surah Al-Baqarah, آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون, to the end, 2 verses, Allah would protect the house for 3 nights where shaitan is unable to enter and penetrate the house borders. So I believe these are all superstitions, and you should trust Allah Azza wa Jal, pray for well-being, alhamdulillah, and don't let this get into your head. Uthman says, what's the best dua for forgiveness? The best dua for forgiveness is what the Prophet ﷺ taught us to say, and that is Sayyidul Istighfar, the top or the master of all seeking forgiveness du'as. Allahumma anta rabbi wa ana abduk wa ana ala ahdika wa wa'dika ma istata'at, to the end. If you say this in the morning and you die before the evening, you will be admitted to Jannah. And if you say it in the evening and you die before morning, you will be admitted to Jannah. So this great dua is part of the adhkar of the morning and the evening that we always preserve and try to say all the time. Michael says, I'm going to build my house and I want to ask you if it's okay to have the toilets inside or is it better to have them outside? What is the Islamic ruling? In the past, when they did not have toilets, they had special areas that they would go and answer the call of nature. And these areas were outside the city borders, the town borders or the city borders. And it's used to be called al-khala, which is a vacant area. Nowadays, this is different because if you actually look at the modern toilets, the impurities are not there. Some toilets are even cleaner and more purer than our living rooms. Every time it's washed, the impurities are gone down the drain, and there is nothing that shows there is any sign of impurity. Therefore, there's no problem at all having these toilets inside your home, in your master bedroom, in all around the house. There's nothing wrong in that, inshallah. Aisha says, I'm married and my husband works abroad. He asked me to visit him because he cannot come with his work. Can I travel alone? If not, what to tell him? You cannot travel alone because it is our Prophet ﷺ who said that it is not permissible for a woman who believes in Allah on the Day of Judgment to travel without a mahram. There is not a shred of doubt that this is the authentic saying of the Prophet ﷺ. And I'm astonished by some of the brothers sending me clips for Tom, Dick and Harry giving a public lecture and saying that this has to be looked into context of other hadiths. And they give other hadiths that are not related of the Prophet saying ﷺ that there will come a time when a woman travels from Iraq to Yemen without fearing anything except Allah and the wolf, etc., over her sheep, whatever. And they say, okay, the Prophet told us about something that's going to happen in the future, which means that the woman was traveling without a mahram. Who said that? Who said that the Prophet is approving it, ﷺ, to begin with? When the Prophet talks about the Dajjal, for example, and that he will come and do atrocities and he will do things that are total blasphemous. Is the Prophet approving it? He says, yeah, this is good. Or he's talking about something that will happen in the future. So don't listen except to scholars who follow the Quran and the Sunnah, who are known to be knowledgeable. And your husband, you have to be diplomatic. Tell him that I miss you 10 times as much as you miss me. But the problem is that I cannot travel without a mahram as instructed by the Prophet ﷺ. Tariq, last question, says, can I listen to the nasheed of so-and-so? He puts a name of a nasheed artist. And when I Googled this nasheed artist, which usually I do not do, the songs that he's using are contemporary songs, but he changed the words to Islamic words. And this is totally prohibited. When I hear a song that the music, there's no music, there are hymns, etc., but it's exactly like a song with musical instruments. Shaitan comes to me and says, Akhi, why don't you listen to the original? It has to be 10 times better than this. So by copying the same music of a song and just replacing the lyrics with something Islamic. I love you Allah, I love you O Prophet of Allah. Ya akhi, this is not the way of the Salaf. What you're doing is maybe good for those who listen to music for long and they would find replacement in it, but after a while they will miss what they are used to and they will go back to their music. This is not the way that you cut all loose ends with something that is haram. And with nasheed, there is a lot of problems, especially when what they say is Allahumma salli wa sallim alayka ya Muhammad, or ya Habibi ya Muhammad, and this is it. This is how you express your love to the Prophet ﷺ, by singing and by beautifying your voice and by having background music or vocals, or etc. This is wrong. This is taking the Muslims away from the path of real Islam. This is my own perception and point of view, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. And until we meet a couple of weeks from today, next week there won't be a live show, as I'll be traveling inshallah to attend the conference in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So 2 weeks from today, we will resume meeting you inshallah in this live show. Until then, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah, and tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. For taqwa, bewaring of Allah, and tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.